Hello, welcome to Motorcycle News and the new MQi GT Evo. Now remember, if you're looking for a used bike, head to motorcyclenews.com and click on bikes for sale to browse thousands of models now. So the MQi GT Evo is the most powerful electric scooter made by Chinese brand NIU so far. It's a 125 equivalent. It's good for about 60 miles of range and a top speed of around 70 miles an hour. I managed to get it to 69 on the dual carriageway. One of the other journalists reckons he had 71. I'm not so sure, but it doesn't take very long to get there. So if you do have a little bit of dual carriageway on your commute, it'll handle it absolutely fine. Once you've drained that 60 miles of range, you need to charge the batteries, which you can either do by plugging the scooter into a 3-pin plug, if you've got a garage with a power supply, or you can lift the batteries out. They weigh 14 kilos each, so if you live on the top floor of a block of flats with no lift, you're going to be puffing a little bit by the time you get them up there, but they are manageable. 14 kilos each, you can carry them up. You'll then need to have a splitter for the charger that's supplied with the bike to be able to charge them both at the same time, and it takes around 5 hours or 4 hours each if you're doing them one at a time. That's not particularly fast. You're not going to be doing 60 miles and then charging and then doing another 60 miles. The odds are that if you're going to use this bike, it's going to be nipping into work, nipping to the shops, charging them while you're at work, or if you're under 30 miles to work, then maybe do work and back and then charge them overnight when you get home. That's the kind of use case for this. No one's going to be going on tour on it, put it that way. The batteries are actually a little bit of a hindrance as well because they take up most of the area underneath the seat. There's enough room left there for you to get a couple of sandwiches and a bag of crisps, but you're not going to be putting a lid under there anytime soon. And to be honest, if you needed a full change of clothes for work, the chances are you're not going to get that in there either, which is a little bit of a shame because other electric scooters do manage to have the batteries and make room for a little bit of luggage or shopping or whatever. So I have to mark it down a little bit for that. In terms of riding, the electric twist and go system is really good. Because you don't have to wait for the centrifugal clutch to hook up, you just zip straight off the line, you get a little bit of a whir, and then you're up to speed very quickly. Electric bikes don't stir your soul in the same way that some petrol bikes do, but let's be honest, no one's getting all hot under the collar because of a petrol twist and go 125. Well, save some Vespers or something, I suppose, but in general, that's not a desirable bike. So having an electric alternative for it works better as a use case than, say, an electric superbike. That said, around town, riding on an electric, pedestrians do genuinely walk out in the road in front of you because they don't hear you coming, which is a little bit of a drawback. But busy town centres, I think people will get used to it. I think the NIU is a really good looking little scooter. I'm not generally a fan of scooter styling anyway, but I think they've got it right. It's got a nice little LED headlight, the bodywork's nice and smooth. I think they've done a good job of making it look nice, but I don't think that's really all that important for something that's going to be a tool for getting someone to work and back. It's a nice to have. I don't think it makes up for the lack of under-seat storage, for example. The other problem, and it is quite a big problem, is the lack of ground clearance. So the NIU's got skinny little 14-inch wheels, and because it's only a light machine, you would expect that you'd have quite good handling. But unfortunately, the centre stand, whether it's because the spring's too weak or just a flaw in the design, touches the ground really easily. And I mean, just doing U-turns in a city centre, you can get the centre stand down, which is really inhibiting. And especially when you're on an electric bike, so there's no engine noise or anything, that scrape of steel on tarmac comes as a real jolt and a shock. So it's very, very obvious and really inhibits the riding experience. Whether it's something, as I say, that could be fixed easily with a stronger spring remains to be seen, but I don't think it's good enough. On a more positive note, the NIU comes with app connectivity that gives you real-time location of the bike and a journey history. It's keyless, and once you've locked it, it has an alarm that comes completely as standard. So anytime anyone moves it, the alarm goes off, the indicators flash, and you get an alert to your phone to tell you. And you can adjust the sensitivity of that as well. So if it's a particularly windy day and it keeps setting the alarm off, you can turn the sensitivity down so that you don't constantly get alerted to it. There's £20,000 petrol bikes out there that don't come with this kind of security as standard, and I think that needs to change, and I think it's great that companies like New are leading the way on that. The other things you can do in the app is change the layout of the dash, so you can have several different layouts, whichever suits what you want. And you can change options like the start procedure. So the full start procedure is to unlock the bike. You've then got keyless, so the ignition knows that the key is in your pocket. You hold the brake and push a green button, and that starts the bike, and then you can pull away. Using the app, you can change that sequence so that if you've got the key in your pocket, you literally just jump on and twist and go away, depending on what your preference is. If you were say a delivery rider in a city centre or something, you'd perhaps just want it on that quick and easy way with the key in your pocket. The New is quite an expensive bike. It costs £4,099 with the revised government electric vehicle grant, and that's £550 more than a Honda PCX. That means you could buy a new PCX, helmet, gloves, jacket, lock, VED and insurance for the price of the GT Evo alone. Obviously the ongoing costs in terms of energy to run the New will be less depending on what happens with energy prices, but it will take a little while with the way fuel prices are before fuel is cheaper than electric to run the bike. But in that upfront cost, it's quite a big layout for the electric. In terms of electric scooter competition, it's one of the cheaper models that you can choose. The Vespa Electrica 125 equivalent, for example, is £2,300 more expensive than the New. So if you are absolutely adamant that you want an electric scooter for your city commute, the New represents the lower end of the budget scale. If I lived in a city centre and I had a garage and all I did was nip to work and back on a scooter, let's say the alternative was jumping on a train every day, then I think the New makes really good sense. No one's going to be buying one of these to go out on a tour, no one's going to be using it to go and explore the twisties on a weekend. It's not that kind of thing. Although speed-wise it's perfectly capable, the handling does let it down and the range just isn't good enough with the recharge time. But electric, I think, works really, really well for this use. So zipping into work, beating the traffic, it costs you a few pence in electricity in order to do it. Then you can charge the batteries up overnight and away you go again. No more going into fuel stations, no servicing really to speak of. So in terms of small capacity vehicles, electric bikes like the New work really well. Unfortunately, because the GT Evo is let down by a couple of little things, the lack of storage and the lack of ground clearance, it isn't the one that I would go for. But I do applaud that they've put all these security features into it, and I hope other motorbike manufacturers follow suit with that. It looks really good, and it doesn't cost that much to buy in the first place compared to the electric competition. Thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe so you don't miss future reviews. And remember to head to motorcyclenews.com where you can read the full written review of the New.